gentlemen, I'm here with KvS all-star legend Donny Rose. For those of you who don't know, Donny, you were on for how long?
I was on for season number 2 and season number 3.
And then you got shit canned. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
The truth is, we have so much to talk about with Donny because I did all kinds of projects with Donny, including a failed pilot where I rappelled from a cliff, if you recall.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you probably forgot about that one.
No, I didn't forget about that.
All right. And X-rated. And
the sheepdogs thing.
Sheepdog, well, that we're definitely going to get into that. I don't know if tonight's the night. That was insane. Yes. First, I guess, tell us, before we get into the grisly details, what was your general feeling of the time you spent working with Kenny and I on Kenny versus Spenny?
You know, I was thinking about that today. And looking back on it, it was probably like 2 of the most fun years I've ever had. It was a time in my life that I look back on very fondly. Just that, you know, I was pretty young. I was, well, not like a kid, but I was like, you know, in my mid-20s. I was right out of school. Kenny versus Spenny was really the second TV show that I worked on. I was previously working with Breakthrough, the production company that does Kenny versus Spenny, and I was doing this hospital show at Sunnybrook Hospital with live traumas. People were coming in and dying every night. There was like, I remember there was a guy that got his arm stuck in an industrial pasta machine, and it was just like gnarly shit. You're seeing gnarly shit every night, but it was kind of, I don't know, it was different. It was a real, I didn't really have anything to compare it against in TV. Yeah. And then I just said to someone, I was like, hey, do you guys got any other shows coming up? I like working in TV. And then Amy Marcella, who was one of the producers, Amy said, well, we got this show, Kenny versus Spenny, that's coming back, and it was going to be on Showcase now. And basically I didn't even have a job interview with you. I had my job interview with Kenny, which was a real experience. Like, if anybody,
why don't you tell us about that?
Okay, well, so
I didn't even know this, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess it was like 2005 around, just before season 2 was to start filming. Mm-hmm. And Amy, the one of the producers, was like, okay, well, you know, we want you to work on this, because I was working on other shows for Breakthrough. And she's like, but Kenny's you know, very hands-on. He wants to know who we're hiring and whatnot, so you got to go meet Kenny. So I'm like, okay. And I didn't really know much, because I watched a little bit of season 1, but I didn't know Kenny. I didn't know anything really about the show. So I went and met Kenny.
Were you prepared? Were you prepared for the smell?
You know what? He was well dressed. I remember my first impressions was like, who's this guy? Like, I you know, he was, you know, this is 15 years ago or maybe more, right? I was like, oh, this is like a nice, I didn't know how old he was. I wasn't sure if he was like my age or like a couple of years older. I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, man, this guy's got his own fucking TV show. And here I am meeting him in some bar, but he you know, classic Kenny, he takes me to like some bar on Bloor. I don't even know where it was. It was kind of near where the Brunny is, but you couldn't access it off Bloor. It was like near Lee's Palace. You had to go into it through a laneway.
Yeah, I know. I know the green room. The green room?
The green room. Yeah. So it was there. I'd never been there before. So I go in, and Kenny was already in there. And Kenny, you know, he's a coffee guy. He was having a coffee. And it was like, it wasn't too early to have a beer. It was like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
When is it too early to have a beer, Donny?
So I was just like, he was like, oh, what do you want? You know, what do you want? And I was like, oh, I'm going to have a beer. Fuck it. And I just sat down. I had a beer with him. And he was cool. He was just asking, you know, about me and what I'd done. And he was comfortable because he was like, well, you know, the girls like you. And if the girls like you, then, you know, it's cool. I just want to make sure. But he goes, I don't think you're the guy for me. I don't think, because this is when Jamie was in Korea. So Jamie couldn't work.
Right.
So he needed to hire 2 people.
So you got stuck with me. Yeah.
So what happened was, like, he's like, yeah, you know, I think you'd be totally good for Spenny and all this shit. So I was just like, okay, like, cool. that sounds awesome. I was just more pumped that I had, 5 months of work lined up
Right.
and potentially, right? So I thought it, as far as a job interview goes, it wasn't your standard job interview.
Right.
It's a green room on Bloor with Kenny, and
Yeah.
he was cracking jokes and trying to feel me out a little bit. And
Sure.
I remember the one thing he told me when he goes that I wasn't for him. He goes, I want more of like a skater stoner guy for me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
did he well, this is all interesting.
Remember, he went through.
How did he, you didn't know me then, or
I didn't know. No, I didn't
right.
know you.
So what did he say? Did he say anything about me? Be honest.
Yeah, I think he was. You know what? That's funny you say that. I could be. This could be a false memory because it is 16 years later.
Sure.
But I feel like he was said that you needed help in
I'm
that
sure
first interview.
I'm sure he did.
And I took that to heart. Now, foreshadowing a couple years later, he did, say that I was helping you too much. And that's something that I get asked about all the time. And if that was legit or not legit, and it was legit. But
so you weren't part of the spying regime that I felt that was on me at different times, where he hired people to keep their eye on me and report to him.
Yeah.
And I think he based that on what he felt was that I'm lazy and maybe not that funny, and that I need help, and that, left to my own devices, I'll start talking about the mortgage crisis and not do the show. And I think part of that's probably true. So let's get to the firing. I'll tell you from my perspective.
Skipping so much.
What?
We're skipping so much. We're
Oh,
skipping.
no. We're just, there's no word.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the firing. Okay, go ahead.
First of all, so that basically Kenny was upset because I was using you too much, which I loved doing, by the way. I like this. I like the stuff that you did, but he felt, and I think his line was, it wasn't Kenny versus Spenny and Donny. You like to be on TV, let's be honest. I mean,
I loved it.
Yeah, and I liked having someone to work off of. I could be abusive to you in a funny way and all that stuff. And then you were also sort of sports minded, so you got into the competition stuff, and you were the ref at a few competitions, all that stuff. So Kenny, he was not happy with that, and so he said he wanted you fired, and I think he was going to do it, and I said no, I should do it. And to this day, should I have stood up for you more or not? I don't really know. Kenny has a kind of personality that like if I had said no, let's keep him, and then you fucked up again, he would make my life a living hell, right? Maybe that's selfish, but so I do remember calling you being choked up.
Yeah,
because I knew you would have been upset, and it was upsetting to me.
So going back to that time, first of all, like whenever someone, and like it's not like this happens all the time. There was I'm going to go off on a little bit of a sidebar here, but when I was in Nova Scotia in the fall, and I had to quarantine for 2 weeks there, so I was like bored out of my face quarantining in Nova Scotia by myself, obviously. And my buddy sent me, like, I never went on Reddit ever. And my buddy sent me all this shit on Reddit that was like, not a lot. There was like a few comments about why I got fired and this, that, and the other. And so I just went on Reddit when I was on quarantine. I was answering people's questions for like those 2 weeks. I haven't been on since, but people were saying, oh, you got fired, you got fired. Well, okay. I don't look at it that I got fired. Like, it wasn't like in the middle of season 3, I came to work one day and they said, Donny, you're fired. You were stoned at work and you smashed up a Jeep or whatever.
No.
Like, there was no singular incident. I look at it that I wasn't brought back for season 4. There was changes and with all the years later that 15 years later working in this business, I see it all the time. Like, certain guys don't get brought back for the next season. Certain guys do, certain guys don't. And it's just one of those things, right? And on KvS, for me, I don't know where my career would have gone had I continued on and done.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at.
Right? Because when I didn't get brought back for season 4, Morrow, I'd met this guy. He was a producer director in
Yep.
my neighborhood, and we got to be friends. And he had another show for the Outdoor Life Network at the time, and he had a couple things going on. So he hired me, and it worked out good. Or maybe not.
I have a theory that Chris Benish is Fet Knight. I'm just throwing it out there.
Were they ever in the same room? Was Benish shooting then?
I
'Cause
don't think
it would
so.
have been
I don't think they were ever in,
intervening
I don't think they
that.
were ever in the same room.
Huh.
Okay, so here's my
Yeah.
take, and then we'll move on. You
Yeah.
were fired, but not for doing anything wrong. You were fired because of me and my. I don't think I really totally understood the show, and I think Kenny might have been right that I was using you too much.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah. So, but you weren't fired for doing anything wrong. In my opinion, you did a lot of things right, but it just wasn't what we were doing. So I have to take a little blame for that. So anyways,
Let me just like, I'll be the first to admit that I was far from a model employee, and I did some shit that I probably shouldn't have done. And I remember like from times that I would have to pick you up at different places or whatever, and I was always consistently like 10 or 15 minutes late. And I remember you saying to me once, and it didn't really resonate because I was just an idiot at the time.
Yeah.
You said, you know, because you had experience working in the States and whatnot,
Yeah.
and you said to me, you said, if you were consistently late in the States picking up key talent, you'd be fired immediately. And I was just like, oh yeah, well, I guess I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I got too comfortable. And you know, it was right from the beginning too.
It was such a weird show. We were all friends. I mean, it was.
I know, but I remember, and looking back on it, like in hindsight, like Kenny said to me, one of the first things when they saw a rough cut of the beer drinking episode, there is a scene where you're coming up to the house. Kenny didn't go to the beer store, and you're coming up to the house, and it was all those little tiny steps going up. And I think you had a dolly or something, and you couldn't, like, Kenny said it's funnier if Spenny's struggling to get up the stairs, because his whole thing was he wasn't going to go, like, fuck it, Spenny's going to go to the store and get the beer, and he's going to carry it into the house, and I'm going to be waiting here. He thought that it took away from that.
Oh, fuck. Anyways, okay. This is good. Thank you, Donny Rose.
Okay, see you, buddy.
Right.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Donny Rose. What craziest stories on KvS? From your perspective. I know that covers Stefan the nudist. There's so much.
Okay, well, you know what? I have my cheat sheet here. Funny enough, I was cleaning up today in the basement, and there's an old dresser I'm getting rid of, and I found this season 2 DVD here. So I'm just going to open it up, and I'm just going to look through. So first and foremost, one episode that really probably in my mind stands out more than most was the Who Can Drink More Beer.
Yeah.
Simply because that was my first date. That was actually the first
that was the opener
time we met, I think. I think I might have met you like if we started day one on a Monday, I might have met you on the Friday when I was helping the crew kind of paint the house or whatever. Right. But talk about like an introduction. It was right away getting into it. And I guess I can say this, like, in that episode, what they don't show, like, me and you were going out after work, and you were drinking more, and it wasn't reflected in the numbers. Like,
I don't
that
remember.
That was like a quick bonding, right? Like,
but let me I remember being in a strip joint.
Yes.
Bleeding. Okay.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think that was when I punched a picture. I don't even know if that made it into the show.
Okay, so that incident
was on Broadview. What's that place?
That was at Jilly's, Broadview and Queen. Yeah. So so I'll give you a refresher, because you were on a bit of a bender. That was after the drinking contest. You had passed out. You had smashed up the movie poster of the movie that you guys did with Gordy.
Oh,
I think that
oh,
was
Gordy, yeah. It
doesn't cost nothing to say good morning. You smashed up the picture and you had the cow head over your face. You were singing Etchy Pawny Polish Now. I don't know what that means to this day. And you were also going, I don't know if this made the show, but you and I were riffing on wrestling, and there was a manager, Brother Love, and you kept going, I love you.
Yeah.
You were doing Brother Love. Anyways, you were just having a great time, but then you smashed up some glass and you cut your hand open pretty good. You passed out on the floor. You came to after the humiliation, and you were like, you know, you wanted to go to Wendy's. And then obviously this is all off camera. The humiliation's over. You got puke on your jeans. You've been wearing the same clothes for God knows how many days. You've been drinking so much. So you're like, Broadway, take me to Wendy's. And I'm thinking like, fuck, where's there a Wendy's? The only Wendy's I knew of, we were at Sherburne. So the house was at Sherburne and Gerrard. So the Wendy's I could think of, I was like, okay, well, we'll go to Lakeshore and Leslie. There's a Wendy's there. So I took you to Wendy's. You're eating a burger. You're getting it. There's like sauce flying everywhere. You're wearing half the burger. And then you're like, let's go to the, see, now you got your second win. You probably eaten for the first year. Like, let's go to the Brass Rail. And I'm thinking to myself, like, fuck, I can't go to the Brass. Like, where am I going to park on Yonge Street? I go, you know what, Spen? I go, we're not going to go to the Brass Rail. We're going to go to Jilly's instead, because there is a big green pea right across the street. So we go into Jilly's. It's like, I don't know. It was pretty early. It was still light out. And so I'm in there, and it was just the scum of the world in there. And the waitress takes one look at you, like we're sitting there, and she can see that you had a few. And she's like, I can't. I go, honestly, this guy's in town. He's a celebrity. He's in town filming. I go, he's had a few too many. I go, just give him a beer, put a Canadian in front of him. He's probably not even going to drink it. He's just going to sit here quietly. And I said, I'll get a couple dances or whatever. So I just sat there. I was having a great time. I was supposed to take you to St. Michael's Hospital to get your hand looked at. That's what the line producer told me to do. And instead I took you to Wendy's and got you a burger. And then I took you to Jilly's, and we saw an afternoon matinee.
No wonder.
And then I just dropped you back off at the house. Like, everybody was gone for the day. I didn't want to drop you off like too early, that there'd be still people milling around the house. So I got you back to the house, took you up into your room, and locked the door, and that was it.
No recollection of any of this except maybe Jilly's for 2 seconds. That was a memorable day. That was the first week. That would have been like the Friday of my first week. That blows my mind that was the first show week. All right. Let's shift gears a bit.
Yes.
Donny and I, we definitely have a love of Howard Stern and all the Wack Pack. And we always looked at the Kenny versus Spenny oddities as Wack Packers. Tell us who your favorites were.
Okay. Well, in no particular order, I love Bobby. Yeah. Bobby's one of my favorites. Bobby, from the minute I met him, I was like, this is my kind of guy. Like, I used to love it when Bobby would come on the show. I was responsible for giving Bobby, he would get whatever, they would give him a couple $100 for an appearance fee. Yeah. And it was always the biggest deal for him to get that check, but it was in check form. I remember a couple times I'd give Bobby the check and he'd be like, he would want to go to Money Mart with it. I'm like, Bobby, what are you taking it to Money Mart for? It's $200. They're going to take like $70 from you, or $60. And so I used to take a couple times. I took his check. I get him to sign it over to me, and I give him cash in the bank machine. So he liked that arrangement. Bobby was a guy I loved. Johnny Crack, of course. I love Johnny Crack. I got a big kick out of the Crack man. Remember, we saw Johnny Crack at Hemingway's.
We saw Johnny. A lot of people don't know that the rap artist persona was dropped. I don't know where he is now, but then that was years ago. We bump into him at the patio on Hemingway's, and he's a crooner. He's singing, become a crooner, wearing a jacket. He's singing Sinatra. It was quite the swerve, as we say in the wrestling business. But yes, we love Johnny Crack. Who else?
Johnny Crack, for sure. Of course, Fat Knight. Fat Knight's a guy that's he's a legend. Like, he was. Yeah, he was.
You remember when, I don't think the cameras were rolling, maybe they were, and Fat Knight was talking about gardening. He was in his,
I don't remember that.
His full leather regalia, and Kenny was.
You know what I do? You know what I do remember? So Fat Knight came to do his thing, and he was wearing his street. He obviously didn't show up to the house in the attire that he was in
Right.
the dungeon. So he came. He looked like, you know, just like a regular kind of dude. You could tell there was something going on there, a little different. But I remember Kenny was like, "Okay, well, what's your name? What's your?" He goes, "Well, I'm Fet Knight." And Kenny's like, do you want to be?" Kenny wanted him to be called Ass Blaster. He goes, "What if you call yourself Ass Blaster?" "No, I'm Fet Knight." Like, I remember Kenny was like riffing on all these different names. He goes, "Well, Fet Knight's kind of lame, you know. What if you're?" I thought that was pretty.
He has to put his Kenny stamp on almost everything. Do you remember what Kenny's body looked like after the day after Fet Night?
Oh, you guys were both pretty
No,
big.
no. I had a couple of bruises.
Yeah,
I thought
like purple.
His entire body. It was ridiculous. I don't know if he's got. I said you should go see a doctor, not for the bruises, but why you bruise so drastic.
Yeah, well, some people just do. Fet Knight really did a number on maybe Kenny. I'm trying to
wooden spoons to this day. It seemed like, you know, all those leather whips. Nothing touched the pain and the sting of the wooden spoon.
Really, eh?
Yeah. It's sort of, what's that? In wrestling they use the bamboo sticks with the.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Anyways, okay, so continue on. We've got a few more. Baby Andre.
Oh, Baby Andre, of
Stefan
course.
Stefan the Nudist.
Oh, Stefan the Nudist. Stefan the Nudist. If I was like ranking them, Stefan the Nudist would go ahead of Baby Andre.
Yeah.
Baby Andre to me was like, he was fine, he was funny, but you know, he just didn't do it for me in that kind of way. Stefan the Nudist, though, like he had a lot going on for me. He had the nice mustache, he had a beautiful cock. He was just like swinging out there, big set of fucking dog nuts on him, walking around. He had remember he had a nice looking lady there with
had the nicest cans I've seen ever.
Shit.
I know.
She remained clothed.
No, but I saw her in the magazine because he had his own
the magazine.
Stefan the Nudist was a publisher as well. And by the way, I think he likes to be called Stefan the Naturalist. Am I right?
Naturalist, yeah, he was Stefan the Naturalist. That's right. There's like a big nude resort somewhere near Hamilton. I was driving back, and I just last week I was driving past, and it's like one of those attractions, Ontario.
Yeah, there was what did you call the? We won't go into the lady who worked on the streets outside.
Oh,
okay.
She wasn't even part of the show, but
she was in one episode, I think. Didn't I try to?
I can't remember.
I think I was.
Well, during the homeless episode, that was getting real. I remember getting nervous down at Moss Park. Yeah. During the homeless episode, when there was guys like it kind of got dark really quick. Like I remember outside of Moss Park Arena, I don't even know if it made it into the episode, but you and Kenny were like talking to all these dudes, and it got really dark. And it was the only time on the show that I was actually concerned for our safety. Like I was like, these guys can turn on us pretty quick here.
I'm just having, because the kid, they'd steal the cameras and God knows what. And that was a very rough neighborhood.
Very rough neighborhood. I'm trying to think here, like, as far as it's going to bother me that we're leaving out people. You know who's a funny character, and he was an underrated guy, and may he rest in peace. Jim the Animal Wrangler. Do you remember him?
Jimmy.
He was like sort of a peripheral. Like he was there a lot. He provided a few animals. When
Goldfield's still going, but
Goldfield. Goldfield. How could I? Well, he was more of a Kenny guy, but
I know.
And
what was sort of your favorite episodes to work on? Was there any ones that wrestling?
Yeah, that was after. So the wrestling one for me was fun because I wasn't working on the crew then. That was Pico.
And, we brought you back to ref.
I just came back to referee.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I just like chilled the whole day with the Iron Sheik, and that to me, because you guys had to have the Sheik there. It was a really hot day in August, and there was no air conditioning in the gym.
Right.
And they kept the Sheik in the minivan, so I just stayed with the Sheik all afternoon in that minivan with the air conditioning pumping. And he had a little bottle of Crown Royal. I went to the store and got him some ginger ale, some ice, and some cups. And me and the Sheiky just sat in the back of the minivan.
Nice enabling, Donnie. Nice enabling.
Well, it was the time of my life, because he just opened up to me and told me, like, as an 80s wrestling guy, he was just telling me anything I was asking him. I was like, what about this guy? What about that guy? What about this? So the Sheik would have to be in the Wack Pack.
What else? Any other highlights on your notes there?
No, I liked every episode was like, I only have like 26 to choose from. So it's a lot, but you know, just the whole experience, right? Like for me, looking back at it, like sometimes I'll watch an episode if I see it somewhere. I didn't really watch it.
And how's your family? Everybody's good?
Everybody's good. Yeah. The baby just turned 1.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And then I guess let's just finish for tonight with what you think of me. You can say whatever you want.
Oh, buddy, you're a legend. Like I've nothing. I've only had good time. Anytime we've gone on the road or a night out, like it's always been a blast. Like, you know.
Okay, good.
Those 2 years working.
I feel the same about you.
I'm not trying to kiss your ass. It's always been fun. Everything was fun, right?
Yeah.
So I associate Spencer Rice with fun, good times, good laughs. And you know, it's always
You heard it here. The only guy on the planet that would say that, and he means it. And I got to tell you, I appreciate it. Okay, so there's so many other stories.
Oh, there's so many
stories. I mean, Ray Wolf. You know.
Oh, where do you begin?
Well, there. Speaking of what a great tag was that Ray Wolf was the judge of the Who Can Make a Better Porn competition. Yes. And many of you probably don't know, but Donny and I and Brian Pico and we went to Ottawa and Montreal, and we shot a series called X-Rated, but we'll talk about that next time. This is good. Thank you, Donny Rose, referee, cinematographer, buddy, and wrestling fan, hockey fan.
How's the family?
Good. Everybody's good. Yeah. Looking forward to getting on the road a little bit with the music or Kenny or whatever. I missed that. And all right, we'll do another one of these.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Excellent job.
Good work.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay. See you, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome back Broadway, Donny Rose, also known as Sonny, also known as Donny. How are you, buddy?
You know, I'm reeling off of the Leafs loss still, but to be honest with you, it's apathy right now. It's a lot of fan apathy. It's a sad state of affairs. I thought they'd get by Montreal, especially up 3-1. Yeah. And I thought they had a nice path to the conference finals. Who would have known what happens once you get there? But you know, just another
disappointment. Yeah,
another lost season, another disappointment. I'm gonna fucking throw this in the fire.
Yeah,
this is gone. Get it out of there.
What number?
It's number 2. It was I believe it was a Luke Shen. My friend gave it.
Luke Shen.
My friend gave it to me, but he took the nameplate off. I got an Austin Matthews one. I got the baby of Mitch Marner one.
You don't go down to Leaf Square or whatever they call it. Are you one of those people? Okay.
No. I watch it in my backyard. I move the
right where you can drink.
Where I can drink.
There you go.
And swear.
All right. Yes. So what are we talking about, Donny? This is our second run at an interview here. The first one did well, apparently. So
yeah. The first one, there were some complaints though, Spenny. I don't know if you read the.
No, I don't read much.
I don't watch it. I didn't watch it personally. I don't know. I don't know.
What were the complaints?
The complaints were that you were cutting me off and that you seemed rushed.
Yeah. Okay.
It was like you were directing off of a Excel spreadsheet.
You know what? That was that's what I call good criticism. Yeah. Unlike that I wear a wig or I owe Wolfish money. That's criticism. Yeah. I will try to improve. And thank you, members or fans, for bringing that up. So what are we talking about?
I don't know.
Donny, you reached out to me and said you had something you wanted to say.
No. John reached out to me. I was telling Jonathan a story.
Okay.
About how when I worked for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can share this, but I'm going to share it.
Worked with me.
Put it on.
Worked with me, not for me. Yeah.
Worked with. Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, part of working with you, there was some certain things that some maybe, I don't know what you would want to call it, some off-camera help. There was one situation that I thought was kind of funny. So we used to have the minivans, and Spenny was very generous. He would let me keep the minivan on the weekend. Sometimes Jamie wasn't allowed to keep the minivan on the weekend. He'd have to organize a way home or whatever. Or I'd give him my minivan. But anyways, regardless, Spenny was very kind to let me use the minivan all the time. Thank you, Spencer.
You're
Very good,
welcome.
man.
You're welcome.
Part of that though was if there was things that you needed help with on, say, a Saturday, I would oblige, and it didn't happen very often. But there was one day in particular that I remember. You had some items that I guess you had in storage at your uncle's place up by St. Clair or somewhere. He had a really nice house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Right by the park, Winston Churchill
Yes.
Park. Yeah.
Yes. So we went to your uncle's place to retrieve a bunch of boxes and bring them back to the house. And I
Sure.
guess amongst that box of things, there was quite a few books and CDs and stuff like that. And you wanted to sell them. So you
Yeah.
wanted to sell a
Sounds
bunch
like
of
me.
books. Do you remember there was that bookshop right beside the world's biggest bookstore
Yeah.
down off Yonge Street?
Yeah.
I think it's still there. I was thinking about it because I drove by that area and I remember going in there. So you had me go in, you had a box of books. You were like, okay, you got to sell. I can't, you're like, I can't go in. I can't, I'm on TV. I can't be going in.
I'm a major. Yeah. Okay. So what I just so that I'm a minor celebrity, but I'm vain enough to not have people say, I saw Spenny trying to sell a bunch of books. He must be broke. To this day, people seem to think I'm broke, which is remarkable considering, I live a reasonably good lifestyle. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So you sent me and you were like, you had a rough idea of what the books were worth. And I was shocked. I was like, there's no fucking way these books are worth what you're saying they're worth. But sure enough, I went in there and yeah, he gave me more than what you expected. He gave, I can't remember the actual figure, but I was like, holy fuck, this is like pretty good chunk of change for books. I thought you'd get like $3 a book or something like that.
It was not my first rodeo selling books.
I guess not. Clearly, I've never been a guy that's sold books before. I'm also, I'm not
A guy that's never read books before,
a
probably.
guy that doesn't buy a lot of books either.
Well, you did have a Harold Ballard book, I seem to recall.
That's right. I gave you the Harold Ballard book to read. It was a good book.
Yeah.
I got a couple books, but anyways, regardless. So then, with the winnings from the bookstore, with the proceeds, you then said, "Hey, do you mind going in?" They had a porn section in the back, and you were like,
Okay.
I need a few videos. Do you think you could? He goes, "There's no way, So not only you couldn't sell the books, you couldn't go in to sell the books, but Spenny also couldn't go in to buy his own porn.
Yeah.
So you sent me in. You had a few titles, a little piece of paper. I guess you went back there. You went through. Remember, you had to go through like all those stores. It was like going into a saloon. You'd go through the swinging doors.
Of course.
You had a couple titles, and one of them was actually the video was utilized in a episode of Kenny versus Spenny. I believe it would have been the Seaman producing episode. And it was a video. It was a mature title. I can't remember the exact title.
Is this Robin Pacino? Is this where you're going?
Robin Pacino, no relation to Al.
No relation.
If anybody Googles Robin Pacino.
Now, my recollection was Robin had a peculiar way of showing her sexual excitement.
Yeah.
Do you care to, maybe we'll both do it together?
Okay.
You start.
Okay.
Ho, ho, ho. And that would end off with an orgasm, real or imagined, we don't know.
Yeah.
But she was a goer, and she was very vocal.
She was. I would be curious to watch. I don't know if this is like one of those things that you make up in your mind, because I actually haven't watched the show
Yes.
in quite some time.
Yes.
Maybe since the original airings, but I feel like I remember watching a rough cut or something, and there was like you doing your thing, and it was the blur. They were shooting. I don't know if Spanish was shooting over your shoulder, and it was a blurred out screen. But I feel that how audio didn't make it into the final cut. I'd be curious to rewatch it. I think didn't Kenny put them all up on YouTube or something? Is it?
I don't know. The whole YouTube
I know he takes them up, puts them down, and
I know. Well, no, he puts them up, and then when he's forced to take them down by, let's say, Entertainment One, he blames me, and then I get now. Having said that, I was always against him putting the episodes up for free because it affected, I'm sure it affected, I don't know how much it affected the DVD sales. It just seemed stupid, but I never, not that he'd ever listen to me if I said take them down. I mean, that's the proof of the story. Can you imagine me going take them down and him doing it? No. So that's why it's bullshit. But anyways,
it's good that he did it.
another story popped into my head, and I think we have to be very careful here. Do you recall a certain shop on a certain street that had dissed me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we have to keep this very vague.
Yes.
They had dissed me, not because they knew who I was or the TV show or anything like that. I could have been anybody. And they gave me the snob treatment, and I can't say what kind of store it was. I can't say where the store was. And then I came up with the plan, which you were important. You can take over the story from here.
Well, yeah, the said business that now I think the statute of limitations is probably run out.
No, we're not saying the name.
No, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name names, but I'm just going to paint the picture. I believe the year was 2006.
Correct.
Around the middle 2000s. And yeah, there was a shop in vicinity of the KvS house. Oh, am I giving away too much already? No. Okay, I'll shut up about that.
Well, it's okay. That's vague enough, but okay.
Yeah, that's vague enough. It's downtown Toronto's a big place.
Can you say vague again, please?
Vague?
You don't say it right. You're like, my wife says the same thing. She can't say Vegas. She goes Vegas.
Yeah. You always said I couldn't say Vegas.
Yeah. Okay.
Vegas. I was in Vegas. Is that good or bad?
That's better. Yeah, you've improved.
Is it better? Vegas?
Yeah. Yes.
Vegas?
Yes.
Las Vegas?
Not Vegas. Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Like Oi Vegas.
Oi Vegas.
Oh, that's a great, that's a great thing to attract Jews to Vegas. Oi Vegas. Anyways, go ahead.
Contact the Las Vegas Tourism Bureau.
Yes, I'll be right on that as soon as we hang up. Go ahead.
So anyways, you wanted revenge on this shop.
Yes.
Your perceived slight.
It wasn't perceived. It was a complete and utter slight. Go ahead.
Now I don't know who came up with the idea of what we were going to do.
Good. Let's keep that vague.
A popular move in my day as a young East End Toronto shit disturber
Yes.
was these, and I'm sure everybody knows about those little yellow stink bombs.
Yes.
I don't know, the ammonia ones that were in the glass and you had to break them. They were fucking awful. I remember letting one off when I was in grade 10 in math class.
Yes.
And the teacher, Mr. Lombardo, who used to wear really long pants, and in my infinite wisdom, we used to call him Mr. Long Pantso. And so fucking stupid.
Yes.
I let one off, and it took out the whole second floor of the high school. It was for like days. Like the window. It was an old Toronto high school. The way it was just fucking awful, and everybody would complain. And a buddy of mine used to be known to let them off. So I had a good place on Gerrard Street in Little India that I knew you could get these things. So I said, you know what? Well, maybe it was me that said it. I said, you know what? Let's go in there and we'll fuck their business. We'll go in. We'll pop them off. I felt like one of the 9/11 bombers going.
I was in the getaway car. I'll have to.
You were in the getaway car. I don't even.
I think it was my idea, to be perfectly honest, because I'm no stranger to the stink bomb, especially in my wilder teenage years.
It was one of those things again. You could not do it. You were the wheel. You were the wheel man.
Yeah, I could not do it. My fame had eclipsed my ability to stink bomb. This is the downside to fame, kids.
Yeah. You can't get away with doing any dirt. So yeah, basically, I just went in, and I believe I did. I went into the bathroom first. The bathroom was in the basement. Popped one off down there,
which is smart because it could be a bowel movement.
Exactly.
A really heinous bowel movement.
And that it was a smallish place, so it would have wafted up the stairs pretty quick. So then I did another one to the back of the store. So it was like boom, boom, 2 hits. I felt like one of Tony Soprano's associates.
Yes.
And I don't even know if I purchased anything in there to like sort of throw the scent off, if you would. But I remember
what, cologne? What are you talking about?
Just like, hey, what's that smell? Being like a bystander now.
No, you came right. You ran back to the car, and we took off.
I don't think I ran. I think we took off like a bunch of punks. That was a good one.
All right.
One one thing I remember too about that particular summer was that would have been '06, the World Cup of Soccer. You remember when
Oh, okay.
neither of us are Italian, but
No,
we were both rooting hard for Italy for some reason.
they were in the finals.
Yeah, because we wanted to party on College Street. So
Exactly.
I remember going to the final. I can't even remember who they were playing. It was like a nice sunny Sunday or Saturday afternoon. We went down to College Street. Everywhere was rammed. We went into like some little hole in the wall.
Yes.
I believe we were joined by your cousin Lowell, who you've
Lowell came by. Yep. Very good.
Lowell came through. I remember that was because I remember you like referenced him a few times on the show, but I thought he was like a made up person. I was like, oh, this guy's
Lowell,
like
my first cousin, and he did show up, and also Salvatore. Sal.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. So we ended up at that small place. And then I don't know, like at halftime or something, we went outside, we were watching, like everybody was going nuts on College Street. Then you ran into your buddy from childhood, I guess, Sal, and he took us into a nicer bar.
Yes.
I don't know if we watched the rest of it in a nicer bar, and they had like a whole spread in there. They had all this food there and everything. And there was a gentleman. He looked like, speaking of Tony Soprano again, he looked like one of Tony Soprano's associates.
What was his name? You're going to remember his name.
I remember it for sure because his name was Johnny Flowers.
Johnny Flowers. Yeah. Yes.
Salvatore introduced us to Johnny Flowers. I was like, hey, Johnny Flowers. He's like, hey, John Flowers, Johnny Flowers. Nice to meet you. And, me being Donny Rose, I was like, hey, Donny Rose. Nice to meet you, Johnny Flowers. And then you had a good quip. I thought it was quite funny. And you go, hey, Spenny tulips. I thought it was pretty funny.
I was so hammered. Of course, Italy won. So it was the smartest thing we ever did was to go to Little Italy to watch the game because the streets outside in Little Italy in Toronto, I've never seen anything like it, really.
Me neither.
It was insane. And somewhere there's a video of me absolutely drunk with a whistle or one of those just hammered, celebrating a sport I didn't give a shit about. But
either, really.
The thing, I don't know if you realize how hard it was to get the seat, how early I showed up there to see the game in a bar in Little Italy. When on the day, you have to get there before they open and line up, or otherwise you'll never get a table. So I don't know if you or Lowell appreciated how early I got there for this. This
and weren't you like guarding all the chairs because you were?
It was stressful, to be honest. Anyways, I wanted to talk about this, but we might have to be very vague again about it, which is a certain individual that I want to interview, just like we're doing. Shockingly, actually, given his previous propensity to talk honestly about his life, has seemingly refused to appear. And I only know this incredible character through you. And what do you think's going on?
Well, I think there's a lot going on. I think it's his work.
Okay.
It's a tough time in his.
I did offer him the opportunity to do it in disguise.
Yeah.
And that didn't even do it. So anyways, that was disappointing. I'm going to keep hammering on him, see if we can get it done.
We'll see. I'll have a chat with him. He doesn't. So he told me candidly, he said he doesn't want to disappoint you, but he needs to be in the right mood for it.
Yeah, I'm not mad.
Oh, I know. But he's sort of, I don't know. Hey, something funny. I also wanted to this is all just shit popping off, not to jump all over the place. But,
yeah.
Do you remember? I think it was it must have been the gay who did the gay men like better episode.
Yeah, I remember that episode. Yes.
So the classic. I always loved KvS. Like looking back on it, it was you had your couch scene. The two guys, you guys both get together, and then you go your separate ways. Kenny just went up to his bedroom and danced around. And,
yes.
Little skits and characters where you would try to go out and connect. You would do your research. You would try to connect with different, people. So during the gay episode, you thought that it was a good idea. And I think about this every time I drive by. You thought it was a good idea to go hang out at the Oak Leaf steam baths on bath.
Oh, Oak Leaf, yes. Yes, I remember.
And I don't know if this made the show. It was so fucking funny. Like there were so many things that I would just laugh at. So you were like, okay, well, let's, I'm going to go into the Oak Leaf. We weren't sure if
For those of you who don't know, Oak Leaf Steam Bath was what they call a gay bathhouse, I guess. I don't know if it started out as that, but that's apparently what it became. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, and it's funny because it was on, well, ironically enough, it was on Bathurst,
Yes.
not on Church Street or Jarvis
Right.
or whatever like that. But
Correct.
anyways, they had a big sign there, and it's sort of, I guess, at the time, I don't know if it's still, I think it's actually gone, but the building's still there. But it was a Toronto institution, if you would. It was like, you drive, it was definitely a landmark, right?
Yes.
You drive down Bathurst Street, there was
Sure.
Homer Radio, there was the
Yeah.
steam baths.
Sure.
But anyways, I remember they had a sign open 24/7, 365. We pull up, get the exterior set up. You're like, okay, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to see what goes on. I'm going to get to know some people in here, do a little research
Right.
or whatever. You go, it was locked. It was
Right.
closed.
Right.
Sign 24/3. I don't know. It's one of those little nuanced things that
Just to be clear, the reason why I would do something like that, because a lot of people felt there was shtick and, it clearly was a comedy show. But for me, if we're trying to get a gay guy to like us and I'm not gay, I think and I don't mind saying this, and it is no way a disrespect to homosexuals, and I'm sure they might feel the same way about heterosexuals. When you get down to the intimacy aspect of a same-sex relationship with gay people, I think it makes straight people uncomfortable. And I don't think there's anything, and I think for some who aren't bisexual, perhaps getting close to a gal if you're a gay guy in an intimate way would make them uncomfortable. So I think it's completely even. I'm just trying to tell the truth. So my wanting to go to the steam bath place or hang out in Gay Town was to try to strip myself of that feeling, or at least expose myself to it to see how it makes me feel in order to compete, in order to, be able to become intimate with this gay person and not feel that, sense of, the stomach churning. It's just not natural for me, as it would not be for him. Anyway, so that's that.
The only thing I'm saying about that is I just found the comedy in it, the humor in it, in that 24/7, 365. And then the only time, and I think you even said the only time in my life I've ever tried to enter this establishment that
I know it's closed.
365, it's closed.
Yeah,
it's just like very funny. I don't think that made the final cut of the show, but it was just.
Now, speaking of which, have you ever actually had an Oak Leaf steam bath or sauna? Do you know anything about it?
No, I've been in a sauna.
Okay, of course. Now, it's
Yeah,
called a besom. The Jews call it a besom, which is a bunch of oak leaves that are tied up together so you have a handle and the leaves are hanging here. And then when you're all sweaty from the steam or the sauna, one gentleman steps up to the other gentleman and shakes this, and it gets rid of all the excess dead skin on you. That's where the oak leaf and saunas come from. And the penultimate point of it is where my father had me lay down on my stomach on the bench, spread my ass cheeks, and he took the besom and he cleaned me out. And that was a special moment between father and son. What?
Was it? That wasn't at the Oak.
That was not on video. That was up actually.
Not on video. Was it at the Oak Leaf though?
No, it was actually at Jimmy's cottage.
Oh, okay.
And his father was there and Jimmy was there. Anyways, so let's call it a day here. Anything else that comes to mind?
Gee, as soon as we hang up, there's going to be.
Of course. Well, you're always welcome. You're always welcome back. I hope I didn't interrupt you too much. So the shithead opinion givers won't get on me again, but I gave them respect and took their advice. I tried to shut up. What?
I think it flowed pretty well.
I think so too. Better than the last one, in my opinion. All right. Well, you think of more stories, we'll come back to you. Donny, love you. Broadway Donny Rose, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.
You too, bud.
No Leafs, no. No Leafs, no.
No. All right. See you, bud.
gonna. Can you hear me?